I could save time in a bottle, the first thing that I'd like to do is to save every day.
What is up, everybody? This is Batsman Fan, and man, I'm super excited about this video. This is all Golden Age comics. I've got 3 different comics. I'm going to give you details about each and every one of them, and we'll just go from there. But before we start that, I want to just say thank you to all my subscribers. Thanks to everybody that comments, likes the videos and everything else. Really appreciate y'all. Really enjoy this community. This will be my last video before New Year's. So Merry Christmas to everyone and Happy New Year's. So let's get rolling. This is Action Comics number 45. It's Superman's arc. It's from February of 1942. I believe this is the oldest comic I own now. This is the first appearance of the Vigilante's sidekick. He was an Asian sidekick named Stuff, the Chinatown Kid. His real name is Daniel Leong, or Daniel Long. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. It's also the first appearance of the Thunderbolt. And this comic hit shelves just a couple of months after the attack on Pearl Harbor, which occurred on December 7th, 1941. I paid less than $150 for this one. Bring this a little bit closer so that everyone can see it. Just a really cool cover. And it is in a 0.5. That doesn't bother me though. It's 1942, folks. So, Action Comics number 45. Alright, let's roll to the next one. Okay, the next one is Detective Comics number 90. This is it's a Crime Between the Acts. It's from August of 1944. So at this point, we're fully involved in World War II. There's other stories in this issue that include commando performance by the Boy Commandos. There's an untitled 3-ring Binks story. There's a Battles of the Fans, Airwave, and then the Double Steel, Slam Bradley. With this issue, Detective Comics reduces from 56 pages to 48 pages. You can notice also on the cover right here that it says Back the Fifth War Loan. There's a look at that cover as well. Really cool cover. They're in some type of boat. I don't know if that's a Chris Craft boat or what it is, but really cool old boat. Similar to, I think it's going to be sort of like that one on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Anyways. So back to Fifth War Loan. The Fifth War Loan drive began June 12th, 1944, and it ended July 8th, 1944. On May 15th, 1944, Orson Welles was placed on the U.S. Treasury payroll as an expert consultant for the duration of the war, with a retainer of $1 a year. On FDR's recommendation, Morgenthau asked Welles to lead the Fifth War Loan drive, which opened June 12th with a 1-hour radio show on all 4 networks, broadcast from Texarkana, Texas. Including a statement by the president, the program defined the causes of the war and encouraged Americans to buy $16 billion in bonds. Additional war loan drive broadcasts took place from June 14th from the Hollywood Bowl and June 16th from Soldier Field in Chicago. Americans purchased $20.6 billion in war bonds during the Fifth War Loan drive alone. I paid less than $150 for this one. Just awesome. I really like this cover. We're under the 100s in Detective Comics. 1944. We have already stormed the beaches of Normandy. We are fully involved in the war at this point. Okay. My last book. This is the one I've been talking about. This is the one I've been waiting on. Let me just take a minute to talk about my family, though, and how it relates to these comics that we've discussed and the final one of this video. My grandfather was in World War II, and he was sent to Okinawa via the Navy. I mean no disrespect in regards to the following story I'm about to tell, and I know there were atrocities on both sides of this war. Real quick, though, before I get into the story, I want to flash to this picture right here. In that picture right there, not only do you see a young man reading a comic book, and then you see some soldiers who look like they were reading possibly comic books, but you also see some Japanese Americans that are young men that are reading comic books. These young Japanese Americans were put into internment camps. That's not widely talked about in the United States, that we also had internment camps, or these camps to where they shipped all the Japanese. That's a concentration camp. I mean, that's pretty close to what it was. That's not widely discussed or talked about, but I wanted to at least show that picture to know that I understand that there was more than just our side of the story, and there's more to the war than just one point of view. So anyways, I mean no disrespect in the regards to the following story I'm about to tell you. And a few years ago, when I was infatuated with learning about World War II, I asked my grandfather a few questions. I asked him what he thought about the Germans, and he advised me that he believed those young men weren't much different than he was, and they were told to do a job, and that they had to do it. I've also heard this also echoed in Band of Brothers in some of the interviews. If you haven't watched Band of Brothers, you need to watch Band of Brothers. It's a 10-hour miniseries that came on HBO back in 2002, 2003, somewhere in there, and it's just phenomenal, based on a true story. So I asked the same thing about the Italians and the Russians, and I received the same answer. I asked him then, I said, what did you think about the Japanese? This ended our conversation after I asked this question, and he only said, I don't care much for them. And that's where the story ended. We didn't have any more conversations about this. It was over and done for at that point. And I could just tell by his tone that he had seen some really bad stuff while he was at Okinawa. So anyways, I'm going to flash up a small video that will show my grandfather in the first slide, and then the second slide will show my great uncle, and then the third slide will show a great uncle. So here's that video now. So, my great uncle was also in World War II. He was sent to the Aleutian Islands and received shelling from the Japanese. That's a little, another one of those things that you don't hear widely discussed. The Japanese did a lot of shelling up in the Aleutian Islands. He told the story to my father one time that when the shelling started one day, he lost a friend of his that was not too far away from him. He advised that once he got to the friend didn't have one scratch on him, but the concussion from the shell that had went off and exploded, he said it pretty much obliterated his friend internally. I did ask my uncle the other day if he had ever read any comic books, and he said not really, that he'd never been a comic book reader, but maybe that he had read a little bit of Lil Abner or Dick Tracy. So I'm still lucky enough that my great uncle's still alive. That third photo that you saw, that is my great uncle. This man served in World War One. You can see he looks really young on the picture on the left. And he was also in World War Two. World War One ended in 1918, and World War Two started for us shortly after the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941. That's a 23-year age gap. So the story is that the military called him back and said, "Hey, we need your services again," and so he went back into World War Two. So let's get to the third comment, and you're going to understand why I've went into all this. So, this looks just like to anybody else. Maybe this is Detective Comics 97. Well, this is not just Detective Comics 97. It's not that at all. Let me show you real quick. Special Edition, U.S. Navy. I had no idea these even existed. Whenever I was watching this comic, I'd seen it, thought it was a cool cover. It's got a 5.5 grade on it. I was like, oh man, that's a really nice shape. This thing came out in 1944. So I started watching it. And then one day, I got in there and started reading about it. I'm like, holy cow. I tried to find other ones like it on eBay. I couldn't find anything. And I found just a little bit of research. I did a little bit of research and was able to come up with the following information. This is the U.S. Navy Special Edition number 4. It's AKA Detective Comics number 97 from 1944 and then 1945 respectively. This is a reprint, but this reprint, it come out before Detective Comics 97 actually come out. This has to be the new prize of my collection. I'm not sure how rare it is, but I'm betting it's pretty rare. I know these were probably mass produced at one time, but how many of them made them back? How many of these come back to the States and are still in hands today, especially in a 5.5 grade? So these were given to servicemen, and there were questions throughout these books to test the men on their reading and reading comprehension skills. It was an educational giveaway comic prepared for the U.S. Navy by DC National with simplified wording, and there were 6 different issues in total as seen here. All issues have their original numbers and cover price removed, with Special Edition U.S. Navy printed at the top. The back covers of all issues are identical. They have yellow crossed anchors against a solid blue background with the following text. I'll bring that in close so you can see it. This book has been prepared for the publisher with the cooperation of the training activity of the Bureau of Naval Personnel for use as a supplementary reader and workbook in special training units. So, you can also look up Mark Waid, and on YouTube, just go into YouTube and do Mark Waid and type in like U.S. Navy or Special Edition, and he has a short video where he's discussing these comic books and just the rarity of them. I bought this primarily because, not only because it's Batman, but my grandfather was in the Navy. Now, I don't have the luxury now of asking my grandfather if he ever saw these, if he was issued one of these in the Navy and had one of these reading comprehension tests, but I bought it to sort of remember him. I paid less than $400 for this comic. That might sound like a lot, but it's really not that much money for a 5.5 grade. And the fact that it's got to be one of the rarer comics that you could find. I'm so happy. I was fist pumping like Jersey Shore, baby, whenever I won this. I was so excited and so happy that I won it, and I just got it in today. I've been talking about it for a few days now, but I'm just so happy to have this. I'm a big World War II history fan and love all the movies, love doing the research on it, and the fact that I'm able to own a piece of history that not only is comic book history, but it's also military history. It's Americana history. It crosses so many levels. It's just phenomenal. So thank y'all all for watching. Y'all have a safe and happy holiday. Have a happy new year, and bats all, folks.
That's all, folks.